You mentioned that hallucinations can, or they might be adaptive. I mean, they're part of the way we see the world, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes it's going to be adaptive, and sometimes not. But I think about dreams, for example, and or sometimes we might actively want to get into psychedelic or drug-like states. So, what are the adaptive benefits of hallucinations?
Right. I mean, you could argue, and some people do, that all perception is basically constrained hallucination. It's just that again, I think right in the very first response to the first question, I used the word, the brain is a fantastic organ, and I was trying to impart the notion that our percepts are the results of fantasies and guesses and hypotheses that are either confirmed or disconfirmed. So, I could have used the word hallucination. That everything that we perceive is, at one point, an hallucination that's just basically entrained either very, very precisely or very, very imprecisely, depending upon this precision control by my sensations. So you could argue that everything is a fantasy and everything is hallucinatory in one sense. What are the benefits of that? They are manifold. So you mentioned implicitly two. One is the kind of hallucinations we experience during sleep. The second is putting ourselves in certain states, whether it's meditative states or mindfulness states, or whether it's assisted with 5-HT2 agonists such as psilocybin or LSD, sort of assisted psychotherapy, for being one example of these. All of these different ways of accessing different brain states have I think, the agenda to relax your prior beliefs, either by volitionally focusing on the sensorium, say focusing on my breathing, or neurochemically by suppressing the precision of very deeply held prior beliefs. Why might you want to do that? Well, there are two reasons you might want to do that. The first is to become skilled in getting volitional control over this assignment or affording precision to different sensory inputs. So not usually a lot of this machinery is not under volitional control. My favorite example would be saccadic eye movements. When we move our eyes, we actually attenuate the precision on the visual prediction errors. So we can't actually see the optic flow induced by our own eye movements, and we don't want to. But we don't have any volitional control. No matter how hard you try, you cannot see the visual flow induced whilst you're actually moving your eyes. But in principle, there are certain kinds of these subpersonal sensory attenuation or selective attention mechanisms that could be mentalized and brought under volitional control if you become very skilled as a meditator. So that empowers you now to start getting control over attention to various sources of evidence about your body or about your person, wherever sphere you're trying to update your beliefs within. So that's one thing. The other thing, which is very very common therapeutic target and expressed in a very commonsensical way, is that some people get very, very precise priors and get stuck in a rut. Say, for example, they have agoraphobia or obsessional compulsive disorder, or the kind of depressed psychomotor poverty that just locks you in and stops you exploring the world and gathering evidence for the fact that you may not be necessarily depressed. So this involves basically broadening the latitude, broadening the landscape of potential prior beliefs about the sort of thing you are and the way that you behave and engage with the world, and that often a pro-social world in terms of dynamic interactions and social interactions with other people. So suspending very precise prior beliefs that are not fit for purpose at this point in your life, in this context, can actually be therapeutically very empowering, provided you can find a better prior belief or explore alternative hypotheses about your engagement with the world.